professor and chair of the Department of Forestry and Natural Resources here at the University of Kentucky. I'm director of the Kentucky National Logger Program. I know some of you know about that and talked about that earlier. I'm also author of the Timber Harvesting BMP Manual, and I think in a previous lecture in this series, you kind of went through all those best management practices used for water quality, control water quality issues here in the state. Without further ado on that, okay, we're going to get started and kind of go through this. This is a little bit of a review, but I want to put this in context of what we're going to be talking about here in a few minutes. So everybody's familiar, obviously, of the Water Quality Act, Kentucky Water Quality Act, and that kind of thing, and what that involves. There is a silviculture section, as I know you're aware, and the silviculture section of the Act, the statewide water quality plan, deals with all forestry activities like tree planting, regeneration, all those kind of things, including logging. Okay, so logging and timber harvest is included in the silvicultural section of the water quality plan. Okay, and it has 10 different best management practices. You can see the list right there. I'm going to refer to some here in a little bit. Okay, but it has these 10 different BMPs. And of course, within each one, you have one or more minimum criteria that are required to be implemented. Okay. Now, the other law that we've got that's a companion law is the Kentucky Forest Conservation Act, and that was established in 1998 and actually took effect in 2000. Okay. The Forest Conservation Act requires that all commercial logging operations follow appropriate ag water quality minimum criteria. Okay, so those silviculture, those BMPs that are appropriate for logging, the Forest Conservation Act requires that commercial logging operations follow those. Okay, and that's actually specified in the Forest Conservation Act law. So there's an automatic tie of the Ag Water Quality Act and the statewide plan to the Forest Conservation Act. Okay, the statewide plan obviously was involving landowners, right? So owners and operators, you know. In the case of the Forest Conservation Act, it targets, for the most part, it targets logging operations and makes sure that logging operators or loggers do and follow the ag water quality minimum criteria. It requires that all non-animal commercial logging operations, so those that are skinning with a horse, for example, this would not apply. But all others have to have a master logger on site and in charge of the operation. Okay. Master Logger Program, the Kentucky Master Logger Program, we'll talk just a little bit more about it, is statutorily, right, is run by the University of my department, and I'm the director, and the Kentucky Division of Forestry and the Kentucky Forest Industries Association. That's what that KFIA stands. Okay, and I know you've seen this before. This is a common graphic we use to showcase the forest industry in the state. The shading, of course, is the location of the master loggers. All 120 counties have Kentucky master loggers in them. The darker shaded areas have more. Okay. The master logger program was legislatively established, like I said, and is directed by UK, the Kentucky Division of Forestry, and Kentucky Forest Industries Association. It's physically housed here at the UK Department of Forestry. The Kentucky Division of Forestry provides a coordinator for the program that's housed here. In this case, it's Mark Schuster, and I direct the program. But all three entities make decisions about the program. And that program is designed to improve professionalism amongst the logging community in the state. That's the use of best management practices, one of the things that's taught in that program, along with safety and business issues associated with logging. The Master Logger Program started voluntarily as a continuing education program in 1992. Okay, it was mandated by the Forest Conservation Act, that was signed into law in '98, but the provisions in it actually started in the summer of 2000. Okay, and since its inception, we've trained over it's close to 9,500 individuals. Okay, and typically at any one time, we have about 3,000 Kentucky Master Logger designees, okay, that are active, right? About 2,000 to 2,500 of those are loggers. So we have aligned professionals, some landowners, and that kind of thing in the program. And I think we have loggers in probably Kentucky and all the surrounding states, a number of them in Tennessee. And that kind of thing. Okay, just a little background on the master logger. Now, the Forest Conservation Act also requires that the Kentucky Division of Forestry inspects logging operations that they find for the use of these minimum requirements in the Water Quality Act and the statewide plan. Okay, and ultimately, if loggers don't do that, then they have a what's called a bad actor designation. So this is where a logger will not want to correct water quality problems on that operation. They can ultimately be fined, and ultimately, if they don't get those things corrected, be designated as a bad actor. Now, some operations, and many of you may be aware of this, are exempt from any inspection by the Division of Forestry. Okay, and those operations are things that are covered by other laws. In this case, mining. If there's a mining permit that's been issued, then we let mining and the water quality regs associated with mining take care of water quality issues there. If there's a change in land use, if somebody is clearing for a farm field, for example, or a barn site, that area of the harvest would not be included in inspections and that kind of thing. And then if you have non-industrial land, and you are the owner and you're cutting your own trees, you'd be exempt from inspections as well. Okay, so it's a little background on the Forest Conservation Act. Now, the Forest Conservation Act specifies the best management practices that are included in logging. So what you see is that list of 10 BMPs that I had before that were in the state water quality plan, the silviculture section of the water quality plan. The ones that are in black here are the ones that are involved in timber harvesting. Okay, so there are 6 BMPs involved in timber harvesting and 28 total minimum requirements that the Kentucky Division of Forestry would come out on a harvesting site and look to see if they were being implemented or not. And you can see the ones in light blue there: revegetation of silviculture disturbed areas, proper tree planting, application of pesticides, and site prep. That's things you do to help natural regeneration. Are not included. Oddly enough, we do include BMP number 7, which is fertilization, because some loggers do use fertilizer to help get grass establishment or vegetation establishment on roads, ditch trails, and landings that they're required to do. If they use fertilizer, then they're subject to the fertilizer BMP. Okay, there's not much of that. There's not a big enforcement issue there, generally speaking, but it is. That's why it is included. Okay, so this is so what I've tried to do here is give you an idea of how that the AWQA, and the statewide water quality plan and the Forest Conservation Act work together. Okay, so the administrative structure is you have the Ag Water Quality Authority. That's the authority that's a part of the Ag Water Quality Act, right? It has subcommittees. One is the silviculture subcommittee. The Forest Conservation Act, that law, okay, it required or established a governor-appointed forestry BMP board. Has 13 members. Forest industry, farming is involved. Woodland Owners UK, my department, and KDF are members of all that. I chair it right now. Okay, that governor-appointed board is the silviculture subcommittee of the Ag Water Quality Authority. So as that board does its work on Forest Conservation Act, the BMPs that are going on, all those kind of things. There's a formal way for those two laws, if you will, that Ag Water Quality Act and the Kentucky Forest Conservation Act, to work and talk to one another. And that's how this is done. And that board's required to meet periodically, assess the BMPs, and restructure them if needed. And specifically, that board deals with 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 10 of the silviculture BMPs, okay, which are the primary ones that are engaged in Kentucky. And we assess them based on experience with inspections by the Division of Forestry, based on operational experience from forest industry and research evidence. And we just recently did almost what amounted to a 12-year project looking at the effectiveness of the silvicultural BMPs for timber harvesting. And based on that, there's a very large research project. And based on those results, we modified those minimum criteria. And anyway, the Kentucky Division of Water obviously has regulatory authority, primarily right through the Surface Water and the floodplain regs, okay, here in Kentucky. And then, of course, through the waters of the U.S., you have everybody else, Corps of Engineers, U.S. EPA, et cetera. You guys know this, right? So let's talk about responsibilities for a minute. The landowner has ultimate responsibility to protect the waters of the U.S. and the Commonwealth from pollution. Those things are defined, okay? I know you guys know what pollution is, and one of the previous presentations, you know, I went over the sources of pollution for timber harvesting. You know, suspended sediment or mud is the primary one. Logging debris probably second, and then, you know, fluids, all this kind of thing. Okay. Obviously, all landowners are subject to division of water issues, U.S. EPA, Corps, and U.S. I put USFS. That's wrong. It's U.S. Fish and Wildlife. That should be in dealing with aquatic TNEs. The landowner must ensure the use of appropriate state mandated BMPs, and this is through the Ag Water Quality Act, right? And a landowner could get in trouble, so to speak, with the Forest Conservation Act if that landowner was viewed as directing logging operations. So if that landowner was trying to cause a logger to do something that they normally knew they shouldn't do, and the landowner was forcing them to do it, the landowner could be viewed as controlling that operation and be subject to the process outlined in the Forest Conservation Act. That does occasionally occur, okay? Not often, but it can occur, okay? And the loggers are required to implement the appropriate BMPs regardless of landowner wishes. We do get times where a landowner says, hey, I want you to cut every tree next to a stream, even though I'm not putting a field in there or whatever, because there's money there. And the logger says, I can't do that because it's part of our best management practices, our streamside management zones. I have to leave some trees there. And so sometimes there's some conflicts between landowners and loggers about these kind of issues. Okay? Most of the time, those can get worked out, but I just want to let you know that they exist. Okay? So, how's the regulatory response done? Given there's every time they can get involved in this process. Okay, industrially caused issues or wetland issues, typically, or large major floodplain problems. That's where you get the EPA, the Kentucky Division of Water, the Corps involved. Okay. Typically, private landowner issues that come up, typical water quality issues from a timber harvest, for example, that's generally dealt with by the Division of Forestry under the KFCA. They will come out and do the inspection, that kind of thing. If there's a bad problem going on that they can't get corrected right, then DOW can step in and that kind of thing. And that has happened where the Division of Forestry says, we can't deal with this situation anymore. We try to get it corrected. It's not being done. It's an egregious problem, and let's turn this over to the Division of Water. Okay? So that does happen. Usually, the KDF will take first shot. Okay? Private landowners can get directly impacted from the feds again through this T&E issue. Okay, so we've got resources out there that can help loggers and others find the OS outstanding state resource waters, OSRWs, with T&E designations. I'm actually going to show you that website, the snapshot over here in a few minutes, right? And that's where, again, I've got the USFS there. That's U.S. Forest Service. It should be U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and EPA can get involved in those kind of things, right? A private landowner can also get in trouble with the division and with the Corps on floodplain violations, floodplain reg violations. The latter two don't happen very often. Most issues are typical water quality issues with too much mud in the creek or improper crossing or whatever it might be, logging debris in the creek, and that's usually handled through the Division of Forestry through their logging inspection process. Okay. So how does everybody get it? Primarily landowners get assistance with this, right? Well, there's a number of places they can go. The Division of Forestry, that's KDF, provides assistance on forest management that includes information on water quality. And you see that publication there, Forest Water Quality Plan. We have a publication that allows a landowner to basically develop an ag water quality plan for their property if they're a woodland owner and already don't have one. You know, potentially amend a farm plan. Generally, this is written for woodland owners that don't have any engagement with with the statewide plan and water quality planning. That is inserted into their management plans that the Division of Forestry does, the stewardship plans that the Division of Forestry does for landowners. So that's one area of assistance they can get. And foresters do know about the KDF foresters that work with landowners do know about the BMPs. Okay. Obviously, the Division of Forestry inspects logging operations. I've had landowners basically call their own operations in. All the Division of Forestry say, hey, I've got an operation on my property, come please inspect it, make sure everything's getting done. There's a risk to that to the landowner, obviously, right? Because it's calling for an inspection of their property, but that has been done, and KDF can provide that, as well, of course, as inspecting other timber harvesting operations, right? So a lot of times loggers will call other loggers in, you know, and report them. Landowners will call operations in on adjacent properties and those kind of things. But that is support can be done by KDF. Okay? KDF can also, the Division of Forestry can also, as foresters out there, they can provide assistance with the riparian establishment. So if you're interested in a wooded riparian zone establishment or that kind of thing, they can help there. The Division of Forestry also grows the seedlings that can be used as part of that. So there is assistance that KDF can provide with the riparian establishment. Now, for landowners who are doing a timber harvest, okay, the KDF Division of Forestry can provide assistance on how you set all this up. But there's foresters called consulting foresters that can provide us direct assistance to landowners with selling timber, managing their timber harvesting, including the use of BMPs, to make sure that the loggers are doing the BMPs they're supposed to be doing, right, and abiding by, and we want to have those stipulations placed into the contract, as in the logger will abide by the state BMPs, for example, right? And then a landowner may or may not know whether they're doing that or not, right? And so a consulting forester, as a part of selling timber, will make sure that those elements are being taken care of for the landowner. And for a lot of landowners that don't know how to sell timber, there are lots of other reasons why consulting foresters would want to get the landowner would want to engage a consulting forester, help them get fair market value, all those kind of things. But they can also help with this BMP implementation to make sure that those things are occurring. Okay? And obviously, we have educational and training resources, a lot of them. The Division of Forestry has them. We at the university and the Department of Extension Service and Forestry in particular has those resources as well. Okay. The Master Logger Program has been talked about before. Okay. And the Master Logger Program, you can get online. I'll show you a snapshot of that here in a second. Get online. You can get information on upcoming programs, trainings, all those kind of things. Link to resources. Okay. And then at the bottom there, a Master Logger Finder, where you can find information out on a particular logger, whether bad act or not, all those kind of things. This is the website, www.masterlogger.org. This is a snapshot of it, of the page, and you can see there's in the nav bar, there's search Kentucky maps of loggers. If you hit it and search all of them, it'll do it alphabetically. You can search it by district office, PDF, by state, if you want to know Tennessee, Kentucky, that kind of thing. If you've got a logger's last name or a county, it's searchable by all those different things. And you will see their Master Logger designation number. The AL is in reference to those that look in Alabama. If it starts with KYs here in Kentucky, you have their contact information, including phone number, their county. The district office is the Kentucky Division of Forestry District or regional office. Whether they have continuing education credits or not, whether they're a bad actor or not, and the expiration date. Now, we sorted by all, for all 9,409 records here. You can search it just for those that are active, but you can get information, logger information from them. Okay. This is accessible from the Master Logger page. This is talked about before. This is the water maps, or what we call water maps, for the forestry viewer that we had the Division of Water set up for us specifically to help loggers and woodland owners know where the OSRWs are, the streams that need special protection, those have T&Es on them, that kind of thing. It's Google Map interface. You get a satellite view, all those different colors there. London is kind of in the center of the screen. Tennessee boundary at the bottom. All those different colors represent streams that have different things going on, whether they're cold aquatic habitats, whether they're wild and scenic or not, whether the maroon color is that's an OSRW that has a T&E. Okay? So if you zoom in, you can find one, you can hover over it, you can click on it, right, and it'll tell you what's going on, and it'll give you the name of the creek, Archer's Creek. In this case, it's telling you it's an OSRW because it has a threatened endangered species. It doesn't tell you what the species is, but automatically loggers know, the woodland owners know, professionals know, whatever, that we've got an issue there and it is a TNE. It won't tell you whether it's a mussel or a fish, okay, that kind of thing, but it certainly alerts you the fact that you've got issues. So that's water, okay. The Division of Forestry, this is their website. The best way to get them is just Google Kentucky Division of Forestry because they have a fairly long URL there. But they've got a great website. You can go there and you can get information. Like if you go to this second thing that's listed there is this forest stewardship, landowner services. You click on that and you can see a map with all the regions and what counties in a region and get the phone number for that region, so you can get a forester out to help a landowner, or you can get help with a logging inspection, that kind of thing. So that's a great page that you want to look at. Okay, this is the Consulting Foresters website, kacf.org. You see that at the bottom. That stands for Kentucky Association of Consulting Foresters. Okay, if you note the nav bar, it'll say Find a Forester. When you click on that, you get a map of the state with the members that are in there. All these guys are certified. These are consultant foresters. Just because there's nobody in Menifee or Morgan or Elliott or Breathitt County doesn't mean that they don't service that area. Most of these consultant foresters will work over a large region. Could be the whole state, could be half a state. There's a number of those in the central Kentucky area that service eastern Kentucky. So it'll give you contact information for them so that there is an easy way to find these consulting foresters. Okay? And then finally, we'll wrap up with this. This is our University of Kentucky Department of Forestry Extension's webpage, ukforestry.org. UK does not stand for the United Kingdom, which drives people near crazy because they're clicking on us all the time. I've yet to get an offer to buy this for any substantial amount of money, which is unfortunate. But anyway, so ukforestry.org is a great way to get to us. We have lots of resources in there for woodland owners. We have because of the COVID thing, we've got to tune in on Wednesdays to our Front of the Woods, where we have virtual information and show going on at 11 o'clock Eastern time via Zoom every week. Okay, if you look down through the page, all these are clickable publications and videos, programs, all kinds of different links here for woodland owners. Our magazine, Woodland Owners Magazine, is highlighted there. And if you go to the publications section, we have it broken down by different publication types. And there is a host of all kinds of different publications on forestry best management practices that's on our site. Okay, so this was just hopefully it was quick, and maybe I answered a few questions here. Hopefully I did anyway. And so if we've got any time for questions, I'll be glad to try to entertain some.